So what is up, guys? Don't forget to subscribe, check out my channel playlist for individual tutorials on logic, sculpting, animation, music, and more. So how do you polish your game to where it moves smoothly? Things like walls, you can have those, and it's pretty much your puppet moves right. Nothing's moving jagged like the feet. It's just moving great. It just feels great to actually play, and all the animations are working the way that they need to work. And you have all your combos and stuff. You can look up my combo tutorial. Don't forget to look up Young Tech's YouTube on Dreams. That's me. Follow me there. Subscribe here. Check out my channel playlist for individual tutorials on logic, sculpting, animation, music, and more. Today we're going to talk about the feet, how you can get the feet moving perfectly with the wall underneath it that's on not visible, how you can get it to where it's not, clipping, I guess that's the word, and how to get it to where you can know what to edit, what movements to edit whenever you press L1 and square on the puppet and enter into that mode to where you see all of this. So right here is a puppet interface. These things light up, right? Depending on what's moving with the puppet. It'll actually tell you where to go, lower body movement. So I know that if I wanted to edit this, I would go somewhere in lower body movement and turn something down or up. Essentially, these lights are indicators of what you need to edit to get your character to feel great and move less glitchy. That's what this is for. That is what this is for. There's some lights you don't have to worry about, but essentially, while it's still, you don't want too many lights going on. And that's a great indicator that you've done something right. There can be, a few of them, and they can be kind of lit, you know what I'm saying? But essentially, you want to use this to turn things down. Next, you'll want to know about which things you need to have collidable on your puppet. A lot of the times you'll use trigger zones or force appliers to actually be the hitboxes, though you can use impact sensors as hitboxes also. Though that can actually get in the way of certain things, because if this was always on collision, the arm that I have that punches, then it could actually hit the wall and then it would kind of not look right because it's colliding with an invisible object, you know what I'm saying? So there's some things that you don't want to collide, but there's some things that need to collide, like collide with the floor, like the feet and stuff. That needs to collide. Otherwise, it will clip through it. Essentially, what you would want to do is press L1 and X, L1 and X, L1 and X, and go to the lower parts of it, even the feet here. You'd want to click on that. And of course, you'd want it to get into this setting. You might have to click it individually unless you select all of them at the same time. And then you'll want to choose collide. And you'll want this down. You'll want to turn that down. And you'll want to do that for all the things that essentially are touching are needing to touch walls in order for the character not to clip through, if that makes sense, or go through or walk through, if you want things like that for your 2D game. Next, you want to go to every wall, right? Like every wall you have. You might not need to do this with the bottom floor, but you might need to, so remember this. So just do this to every wall and then test out if you need to do it to the bottom floor. Turn the friction up all the way. And that should essentially do it. This should help you polish your game. There's also this right here that's very important. Center of gravity is where the gravity is pushing the most. So if you have that up all the way, it's going to make your character go all the way down while it's walking and stuff, or jumping after it jumps and stuff like that. That's pretty much what that is. So that's very important to know. That can mess with the walk. There's a lot of things that can mess with the walk, and if this is on, if there's things that are on that you think that are messing with the walk, just go to your puppet interface to see what's lit up. And if there's some kind of animation that's not working, you can also check that out here and then fix it if you need to. Fix these settings right here. This could be on. Make sure you turn this off. The auto look sometimes needs to be off. And sometimes you need to get a keyframe that's not on keep changes and turn this off while the attack is going, if that makes sense. Sometimes you need to make it to where the control sensor is disabled while the attack is going. That way you can't rapidly press things. There's a lot of things you can do, but these are some really great tips that could actually help your game feel more polished, more done, more less broken, if that's the that is the word. But you know, again, you want this off. I usually turn that off. And then there's usually there's a motion sensor inside of the control sensor. You might want to press triangle on that too. Just look at that. There's a motion sensor. Turn down the motion movement here, and there's that's essentially it. Whenever it comes to that, then I guess you can click this. Make sure this is clicked and not this, unless you want this clicked. This right here is quick edit. It pretty much quickly edits a keyframe that's inside of the microchip. That's what that does. So you can mess with that also, but usually you want to leave that on walk. And I have sliding friction up all the way, as well as walkable slope angle. This could be very important. So I hope this helps. This is part 1, and this is pretty much a very good good video, if this makes sense. Like you see here, the punch shouldn't collide with that wall. It doesn't. And the character lands perfectly on the ground. There's still some things that I could fix, not noticeable things, like it's not apparent throughout the whole game, you know what I'm saying? But those are tiny things. You'll notice that games do release unglitch free, if that makes sense. But it's usually just really tiny things. Sometimes games do release like that, like No Man's Sky, and that's bad. You don't want it to be, you know, over unpolished, but it doesn't have to be completely perfect. I'd say 75 to 80% of the way there before you even attempt releasing it, and this should help you. I hope it does. I hope it does. Again, we'll also go ahead and click back in here. Might as well click on the floor at the bottom for you guys and see what this is. Again, I also have these walls labeled as object and scenery. That's what they collide with. So yeah, it's the same settings essentially. It's also got the density up. I'm not sure if all the walls have that, but just so you know. The bottom floor wall seems to have the ruffle and that and that and that up, so you can copy those settings. That's different from the walls on the side. I'm not sure if that, you know, will do anything, you know, too much. Sometimes I copy the wall more than once. I don't think you have to do that, but I just like making sure, you know what I'm saying? But essentially, that's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. This right here is going to be called Fighting Game Genesis. Check it out whenever it's done. Let's see here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this helps you polish your game.